Be me, 33F, a head of people ops and culture at a fintech startup masters. In communications and media, theory fully convinced tech is the last place in America where old-school patriarchal gatekeeping still gets called standards. My career goal was never just doing HR paperwork. It was always bigger than that. Tear down the fake religion of meritocracy from the inside, because, let's be honest, merit is usually just code for which kid had free time, money, and a basement PC to learn Java at 12. Been at this company around 9 months. We're a payment routing platform, super boring back-end infrastructure stuff. The kind of product nobody brags about at parties, but the investor money is ridiculous. My role is basically making sure the culture feels right and we hit our diversity. OKRs. I take that part seriously enough to annoy people. Have a mini manifesto pinned on the wall in my office software. Is ideology, neutrality is harm. Comfort protects power. I read it every morning while drinking a turmeric oat latte. Before checking Slack to understand what happened, you need the map of the office. The place is split into 2 tribes. Tribe 1 is growth, brand, and people ops. Bright side of the floor. Mostly women, plus a few gentle guys in slim jeans and clean sneakers. We talk about bandwidth, emotional capacity, psychological safety, and making room for people we use. Emoji reactions like punctuation. We organize happy hours, lunch and learns, and mindfulness sessions. Nobody attends twice. Tribe 2 is engineering back. Corner of the office, lights dim, blinds closed half the time, like they're coding during a vampire siege about 14 or 15 men on back end alone, 0 women on the platform squad. That number kept me awake more than once. They don't react with emojis, they respond with periods, short sentences, no warmth, pure gatekeeping energy. Their general is Nate, 39M, lead back-end architect, looks like he hasn't had a proper night of sleep since the Obama years. Talks in metrics instead of regular human language, does not care about my wellness. Check-ins cares about P99, latency throughput, and error rates. To me, Nate is the old guard in one person, the kind of rigid excellence that quietly locks everyone else out. He thinks if you can't code on day 1, you don't belong here. I think if someone brings the right perspective in systems thinking, code can be taught. So, yeah, we were already at war. Not allowed. War, Cold War, fought in Slack threads, hiring meetings, and passive-aggressive comments during all hands. The thing that set the whole mess off started on a Monday. We had an opening for a junior back-end engineer. Our CEO, Matt, mid-40s, desperate to seem chill and progressive at the same time, called a sync. I walked in with my iPad, and stylist Nate walked in with a legal pad and a cheap pen that looked like it came from a hotel front desk. Matt starts the meeting. Okay, we need this seat filled fast. Back end is underwater, and this is starting to affect delivery. Then he looks at Nate like he's calling an expert witness. Nate says the team is at critical capacity. Nate nods without looking up. Yeah, we're bleeding. Then he lists what he wants like he's ordering parts for a machine. Python strong SQLAWS, Lambda. Bonus if they understand regulated payments and compliance workflows, basically a full-grown engineer for a junior title. I clear my throat not loud just enough to force eye contact. I wait until both of them look at me. Nate, I say with my practiced calm smile, that's not a job description, that's a fantasy shopping list. And it's a shopping list built to screen people out. Nate exhales, long, exhausted sigh. I hate that sigh. That exact sigh, it always sounds like a man who assumes he wins because he knows how computers work. Claire, he says, voice flat, we process money, mortgages, payroll, rent payments. If our code fails, customers get fined and we get audited. I need someone competent. I lean forward. Competence isn't neutral. What you're describing is a very specific background. You're filtering for exposure. You're filtering for people who already had access to these tools. You're filtering for privilege. He rubs his face like he's trying not to say something HR reportable. I keep going because once I'm in, I'm in. If we actually want to change the composition of that team, we can't keep fishing in the same pool and acting shocked when we catch the same person. Then I turn to Matt. Always turn to the person who cares about optics. Matt, we already talked about Q3 goals. We said we wanted to change what this company looks like. There are 0 women on back end. 0. If we post Nate's version of this role, we're going to get another Nate. Matt physically flinches at that. He's one of those CEOs who wants diversity, but only if it doesn't slow sprint velocity. And he definitely doesn't want to sound anti-diversity in a meeting with me present. He shifts in his chair, tries to split the difference like always. Maybe we can soften the requirements a little. Focus more on aptitude. Nate finally looks up all the way, eyes wide, actually offended. Aptitude? Matt, I do not have time to teach someone what variables are. I need a developer. And you'll get one, I say. Immediately steady voice. No room for him to bulldoze. But we're hiring for potential. We need culture add, not just culture fit. Matt nods. Because those phrases sound good in board updates meeting, basically ends there. Which means I won, I took over the hiring process, fully rewrote the job, post from scratch. First thing I cut was computer science degree required, gone, then years of post-grez experience, gone, then the line about mandatory on-call rotations, deleted that too, frankly discriminatory. If you think about caregivers, parents, or people with anxiety, I replaced all of it with language that invited humans, not just code monks. Are you a problem solver? Do you see code as a tool for impact? Want to build systems that shape everyday life? Requirements section became curiosity, empathy, collaborative mindset, comfort with logic, and systems. Thinking basically a door instead of a wall. I did not post it on LinkedIn, did not post it on Stack Overflow, did not post it in the same bro-heavy channels engineering always uses. I posted in alternative communities, creative job boards, remote nomad groups, career change communities, digital maker spaces, places where interesting people actually hang out. Nate DM'd me that afternoon, one line, no hello. Claire, I saw the posting. You're recruiting a philosopher, not an engineer. This is going to blow up in our faces. I reacted with a shushing face. Emoji, didn't even type. Back then, I screenshotted the message, printed it, filed it in my resistance documentation folder. Yes, I have one, and yes, it felt amazing. For once I was the one controlling the gate applications, started rolling in fast, then flooding in hundreds within days, tons of bootcamp grads, people with backgrounds in English, design, art history, teaching exactly the kind of non-traditional talent pipeline everyone claims to want until they actually see it. I screened them myself, used a blind review, process removed, technical portfolio links before first pass, including GitHub, because GitHub is basically a museum of accumulated privilege and unpaid free time. I focused on narratives, problem-solving examples, and communication. After a long weekend of sorting, tagging, and scoring, I cut the pile down to 3 finalists. Nate wants to run the technical screen. First, I shut that down immediately. No, Nate, the technical screen is where bias shows up. You throw trivia at people and call it standards. I'm doing the culture screen first. If they pass the vibe check, then you can talk to them. He clenches his jaw so hard I can see it in his temple. But he agrees not, because he wants to, because he can't override me without going through Matt. And Matt was absolutely not stepping into that minefield. Then I find her the one, her name is Nova. 25 degree in digital humanities, finished a 10-week boot camp called Code with Purpose, Women in Tech. Cohort. Her resume looks like a design portfolio. Clean layout, muted pastel palette pronouns right under her name. Under skills, she lists things like holistic debugging, story-driven coding, community care under technical skills. She writes Python SQL, familiar, HTML/CSS, proficient, perfect total blank slate. Someone we can mentor into our environment. Someone who isn't already carrying all the toxic rockstar dev baggage. I book a Zoom interview with her. She shows up with cool bangs and oversized glasses. Soft voice thinks before answering, uses I feel language naturally, the opposite of every back-end guy in our office. At one point she tells me, I want to be in tech, because algorithms are basically policy now. And we need more women writing them if we want to reduce bias. I actually get chills, full body chills like, oh, there it is. That's the future talking. I pass her instantly, 10 out of 10. No, hesitation. Then comes phase 2, the technical round, AKA the battlefield. I schedule it with Nate and Owen, Owen is another senior engineer, quiet dude. The human embodiment of, I just want to write code and go home. I add myself to the interview, invite official reason, ensure psychological safety. Actual reason, supervise Nate. I tell both of them that directly. Nate looks like a man walking to his sentencing. Nova comes in the day of the interview. She's clearly terrified, like physically buzzing with anxiety. I meet her in the lobby and give her a hug. You're going to be great. Just be yourself. I'm here to make sure this stays fair. We all sit down in the conference room. Nate starts immediately, no small talk, no warm-up. Hey, Nova, thanks for coming in. Let's use the whiteboard. Design a simple database schema for a library lending system. Nova freezes, just stares at the board, clutching her tote bag with both hands. A schema? Yeah, Nate says, holding out the marker. Just basic tables. Users, books, loans. How do they connect? She doesn't take the marker, just looks at me with huge eyes. I actually don't do well with whiteboards, she says, voice shaky. It feels performative. I have processing delays when men are watching me. Pressure thing. Nate pauses, looks at the marker, looks at her. You can literally see him rerouting his brain. Okay, no whiteboard. We can talk it through. Then he tries again, calm voice. I'll give him that. If I have a users table and a books table, and one user borrows one book, how do I connect that in SQL? Nova thinks for a long time, like really long, then says, you make a connection. A relationship, right? Nate nods. Trying to help, right. What's that called in SQL? She blanks completely. Silence stretches out forever, like 10 seconds of pure pain. Then she says, a bridge? Nate rubs his face. A foreign key. It's called a foreign key. Nova looks crushed. I haven't memorized all the patriarchal terminology. I focus more on data flow and systems feeling. Nate turns and looks at me. That look, the one that says, are you serious right now? Patriarchal terminology. He says, actually confused. Nova gets a little more confident once she starts explaining, yeah, like master/slave language in architecture, and a lot of syntax feels aggressive. I try to code in a more circular way. Nate goes totally flat, that dangerous calm, engineer voice. Okay, let's try a Python question, write a function that reverses a string. Nova opens her laptop, starts typing, deletes. Everything, types again, deletes again. Opens a new tab, goes straight to search. Nate gently closes the laptop lid, not rude, almost weirdly patient. No Google. Just talk me through the logic. How would you do it? Nova starts breathing fast, like genuinely panicking. This is really aggressive, she whispers. I feel interrogated. You're kind of mansplaining the question to me. I step in immediately. Nate, stop. He turns to me. Stop what? I asked her to reverse a string. That's fizz-buzz level, Claire. You're triggering a panic response, I say, ice-cold voice. Look at her. She's shaking. You're creating a hostile environment. This is exactly what I'm talking about with toxic rigor. You're testing whether she can absorb aggression, not whether she can grow into the role. Nate finally snaps, coding is stress, full volume, now. When prod goes down at 2:17 a.m., it's stressful. When transactions fail, it's stressful. If she can't handle reversing a string in a quiet conference room, what happens during an outage? We are not hiring for outages, I shout back. We are hiring for the other 99% of the time. We hire for culture. We hire to change the ratio. Nova is crying now, wiping tears with her sleeve. I think I should leave, she says. No, I say, firm. You stay. Then I turn to Nate. You're done. Then to Owen. Owen, do you have any questions that are not designed to humiliate her? Owen looks like he wants the carpet to swallow him. Long pause. What's your favorite text editor? VS Code, Nova says, sniffling. But I changed the theme to softer colors. Cool, Owen says. Same. I'm good. Interview basically over. I leave that room and go straight to Matt's office, shaking with anger, like hands actually trembling. Nate just bullied a female candidate until she cried. Matt goes pale immediately. What happened? Did he insult her? He grilled her on syntax until she had a panic response, I say. It was ableist, exclusionary, and completely unnecessary. If we don't hire Nova, we are sending a very clear message. that this company only wants aggressive, neurotypical men. We become that startup. Matt looks trapped, which he was. Then he asks quietly, "But can she code?" "She can learn," I snap. Slam my palm on his desk hard enough to make his water bottle jump. "She has aptitude. She has the mindset. If we support her, she'll bloom. If we reject her, we're just another bro-coded startup with a DEI slide deck." Matt folds almost instantly. He always folds when the choice is ethics language versus engineering complaints. "Fine," he says, "hire her, but put her on probation." I smile like he just gave me permission to fix the future. She won't need it. Nova starts 3 weeks later. Salary at $118,000 plus. Equity. Yes. For junior? Yes, I fought for that too. Pay equity starts at the offer letter. I place her desk next to mine, not in the back-end cave. Absolutely not throwing her into that pit on day one. I call it proximity-based support. Nate calls it not where engineers sit. Same thing, depending on your politics. I also set up a mentor-buddy system, and I assign Nate as her mentor intentionally. If the old guard is going to evolve, it has to happen in practice. He protests by email within like 11 minutes. Subject line. Mentor assignment message basically says, "Claire, I cannot mentor someone who does not know fundamentals. I'm shipping the new API gateway next month. I do not have bandwidth to teach remedial SQL." I rate it twice while drinking cold brew and smiling, then reply, "Leadership includes teaching, Nate. This is part of your growth trajectory. Lean into the discomfort. Be an ally. CC Matt, because I'm not stupid." First month is interesting. Nova is instantly popular, like absurdly popular. She starts a Slack channel called Witchy Women in Tech. Channel icon is a crystal ball, emoji, and a laptop. Every Friday she brings gluten-free muffins from someplace downtown. Marketing adores her brand team, adores her people. Ops obviously adores her because that is literally my team. In meetings she speaks fluent startup. Progressive, I think we should de-silo that information. Can we double-click on the emotional impact there? "I want to hold space for the user journey," she says. Stuff like that, and half the room nods like it's product strategy, actual coding, though different story. I see Nate at her desk a lot more than I'd like. Every time he's there, he's pinching the bridge of his nose like he's trying not to leave his body. I start overhearing things, little fragments. "No, Nova, you cannot commit secrets to the repo. We talked about this." Nova, defensive, but the environment variable wasn't loading. Nate, slower now. "So you hard-coded the AWS key?" Nova, "I was trying to make it work." Nate, "Anyone with repo access can see that key." Nova, voice rising, "You're being really critical. It's valid to experiment. That's usually when I step in, because if I don't, his tone gets colder and her shoulders go up around her ears. Everything okay over here?" Nate turns to me with these dead, exhausted eyes. "She pushed our dev keys to a public branch." Nova immediately jumps in. "It was a mistake. I didn't know." I put a hand on her shoulder, steadying. "That's a learning moment." Then to Nate, "Rotate the keys. Please don't turn this into a federal indictment. You're damaging her confidence. This is exactly why women leave tech." Nate just stares at me, doesn't yell, doesn't argue, which honestly is more unsettling. He looks defeated, like something inside him logged off. "I'll rotate the keys," he says, then walks away. I feel this rush in my chest, pure victory. Like, yes, that is what protection looks like. I'm not letting them grind her down after that. I decide engineering needs a real intervention. Their communication style is way too blunt, too sharp, to fix the bug, and not enough protect the human. So I draft a policy full internal doc title, Inclusive Technical Communication. Standard. Yes, I capitalized every word. Yes, I sent it company-wide. The policy bands, technical interrogation language example, don't say, "Why did you do this?" because it implies blame and activates shame. Instead say, "What was the narrative behind this decision?" Another one don't say, "This is wrong." Instead say, "This is an interesting approach. Have we considered existing standards?" Same feedback, less violence. I also add a section about access gatekeeping because I notice Nate still hasn't given Nova access to prod, and that starts bothering me. She's been here 2 months. At that point, 2 months, I corner him near the espresso machine. Nate, Nova has been here for 8 weeks. Why does she still not have production access? He looks at me like he already knows this conversation ends badly. Because it's dangerous, Claire. She doesn't understand blast radius. One bad command in prod can hurt customers. I cross my arms. You are infantilizing her because she's a woman. He blinks, actually laughs once dry, joyless laugh. No, I'm restricting access because she's inexperienced. She's a full-time back-end developer, I say. Give her the keys. Trust is part of team integration. If you don't trust her, you're building a hierarchy of worth that gets him. He snaps a little. It is a hierarchy. I have 15 years of experience. She has 15 weeks of a boot camp. That matters. I step closer and drop my voice, HR voice, the one that sounds calm and expensive. Give her access, Nate, or I document this as gender-based blocking of professional development. And we can have a bigger conversation with Matt. We stare at each other for a long second. He breaks eye contact, first pulls out his laptop, opens terminal types like he's entering launch codes for a missile, then says, "Fine. She has read-write access. If this goes bad, it's on you." I lift my chin. I accept that responsibility, and I mean it, because someone has to. Then the day comes, of course it does, about 3 months into Nova's tenure. Wednesday afternoon, Nate is out, not just out of office fully. Unreachable minor surgery, wisdom teeth or something like that. Owen is on a flight to London for a conference, some infra thing. The back-end corner is basically empty. Just 2 interns, and Jeremy. Jeremy is technically a junior dev, but emotionally a deer in traffic. I'm in the break room making matcha whisk and everything. Nova is at her desk in noise-canceling headphones listening to a true crime podcast. She told me they help her focus. Matt suddenly bursts out of his office sweating through his shirt. "Claire, where's Nate?" I look up. "He's in surgery." "You approved the calendar invite." Matt looks like he might throw up. "We have a problem. The payment processor flagged a compliance issue. We need to sanitize a table right now. If it's not cleaned before the audit sweep, we're in serious trouble." He's talking fast and loud. Now I can hear panic in every word. Nate left the script in the run book. It's a simple database script. I keep my voice calm on purpose. "Okay, we have a team." Matt shakes his head. "I need a senior engineer. Jeremy is too green." "Is Owen online?" "Owen is somewhere over the Atlantic," I say. Then I glance toward Nova. Perfect timing. Nova's here. Matt follows my eyes. Sees her at the desk, lip gloss in one hand, headphones around her neck. Now he looks horrified. "Nova? Claire?" "She's still onboarding," I square up immediately. "She is a junior back-end developer with full access. She has shadowed Nate for 3 months. She knows the systems. Stop gatekeeping her. This is exactly the kind of moment people grow from." Matt looks at the wall clock, then back at me. "We have maybe 20 minutes. If that data isn't sanitized before audit sweep, we get hit for like 1 million. "Nova can do it," I say. "It's a script, right? Copy, paste, verify. Don't let your bias cost us money." He wipes his forehead with his sleeve, hesitates 1 more second, then caves again. "Fine. Get her?" I walk over to Nova and tap her shoulder. She pulls one ear cup off, smiles at me. "Hey, girly." "Hey," I say. Big moment. Matt needs a hero. Her smile drops a little. I explain fast. Nate left a script in the company. Wiki name is sanitize_compliance_table.sql. She needs to log into the production. Database run. The script confirm completion. That's it. Nova's eyes widen. Production? I usually only work in staging. Nate isn't here, Nova says. He usually tells me not to touch prod alone. I cut in before she can spiral. Soft voice, steady voice. You have the access. I fought for you to have it. This is your moment to prove him wrong. Show them a woman can handle pressure. Nova takes a breath, like she's about to jump into cold water. Okay, I can do this. I'm claiming this space. Exactly, I say. Claim it. She opens terminal logs into production. I stand behind her shoulder, watching green text on black screen, full Matrix vibes, and I feel this huge wave of pride. I put her in this seat. I made this happen. Nova pulls up the script in the wiki copies. It switches back to the terminal window, then pauses. Wait, the command line is being weird. It feels stuck, I say. The first thing that comes to mind, just refresh it. Nova nods like she knows exactly what that means. I'll clear the buffer, she starts typing, muttering under her breath. Okay. Just reset the view. She taps the up arrow. A couple times, finds an old command in history. Hits enter screen, explodes with scrolling, text fast. A lot of it. Nova points there. It's running. We both stare at the screen, then the scrolling stops. Message pops up. Error, connection. Terminated 0 rows, affected and then nothing dead. Silence from the terminal. Nova frowns. That's weird. Then a scream from the sales side. Why did the dashboard just go blank? Another voice louder. Customers are blowing up chat. They can't log in. Everything is 500-ing. Matt comes out of his office at a sprint. Face sweaty shirt, half untucked. What happened? The site is down. API is returning errors on everything. I look at Nova. She is pale, not nervous. Pale, funeral, pale. Nova, I say. What did you run? She's staring at the terminal like it bit her hands, shaking so hard she can barely reach the keyboard. I hit up arrow. I thought it was the script, but I think it was from my local history. Matt is standing over both of us now, voice sharp. What command, Nova? Tears start forming immediately. It was drop schema, public cascade. Matt freezes completely. Freezes like somebody unplugged him. Then says, very quietly, you dropped the public schema? Nova starts crying. I thought I was on localhost. The prompt looked the same. I didn't have the color warnings because Nate never set up my dot files. Matt's voice goes eerie calm, the dangerous kind. You deleted the database. You deleted the application state. Users, transactions, balances, everything. I can undo it, Nova says through tears. There has to be an undo. Matt explodes. There is no undo for drop cascade in production. My instincts kick in before my brain catches up. I step between them. Matt, do not yell at her. She made a mistake. This is a UI and process failure. If prod had a clearer prompt, this wouldn't happen. Nate should have color-coded the environment better. This is systemic, Matt rounds on me. Actually roaring now. Nate is not here. You are here. You hired her. You forced me to give her access. Real panic takes over the office. Then, not startup panic. Not, we ran out of oat milk, panic. Money, panic. Lawsuit, panic. Company might die, panic. Matt grabs his phone and calls Nate, puts it on speaker. Nate answers after a few rings, voice thick and slow, clearly medicated. Hello? Nate. It's Matt. Nova ran drop schema cascade on prod. Silence the longest silence of my life. I can hear fabric moving on his end. Then he says, tell me you're joking. Matt says, I'm not. Everything's gone. Site is white screening. I hear Nate suck in a sharp breath. Is the replica okay? Matt looks at me. I look at Nova. Neither of us says anything useful. I don't know. He says, how do I check? Nate's voice gets suddenly clear. Painkillers or not engineer mode activated, get off the phone. I'm logging in. Do not touch anything. Do not let Nova touch anything. Click. Next hour is a smear. Office goes quiet. People whispering Slack notifications popping like distant gunfire. Nova crying at her desk, mascara running face in her hands. I sit next to her and rub her back. It's okay. This was a systems issue. You were not set up for success. I hear myself saying it. And at the same time, I know whose idea this all was, and I know whose fault that makes it. I keep staring at one monitor with a blinking cursor, just blinking like the screen is waiting for a confession. Nate gets there around 40 minutes later. Uber straight from the dentist or clinic or wherever, looks like death. Face puffy jaw, gauze-packed eyes red. Walks in and doesn't look at me, doesn't look at Nova, doesn't look at anyone, just sits down and starts typing. I have never seen someone type like that. It's not normal. Typing, it's violent. Click, clack, click, clack, click, clack. Fast, precise, zero hesitation. Jeremy hovers behind him like a scared intern bird. What are you doing? Jeremy asks. Nate talks through gauze without turning around. Point-in-time recovery from WAL logs. Restoring backup from S3. Spinning a replacement instance. Repointing DNS. I have no idea what half of that means, but I know what it sounds like. It sounds like competence. It sounds like the thing I used to mock. It sounds like gatekeeping, saving our asses about 2 hours later. Nate finally leans back, rubs his eyes. We're up. Entire office exhales at. Once he keeps going, lost maybe 12 to 15 minutes of data. I can reconstruct most of it from processor logs manually. Matt collapses into a chair, like his strings got cut. Oh my God, Nate, you saved us. Nate spins around, slowly looks directly at Nova. She looks wrecked eyes, red face, swollen. I'm sorry, she says. I thought the prompt. He puts up a hand. Stop voice, flat dead flat. I don't care about the prompt. I don't care about your feelings. Then he turns to Matt. She goes. I step forward, before I even think, adrenaline still blasting. Now hold on. This is a coaching moment. We do not fire people for one mistake. We review process. We build safeguards. Nate looks at me, dark circles, pain, exhaustion, and no politeness left at all. Claire, he says, shut up. I literally gasp. Excuse me? You do not speak to me like that. That is harassment. Nate doesn't raise his voice, doesn't need to. I just saved this company from bankruptcy while bleeding through gauze. I do not care about your HR handbook right now. You forced an unqualified person into a critical role because you liked her vibe. You pressured me into giving access she did not understand. This is not a mistake. This is negligence. Gross negligence. Then he looks at Matt. No drama, just a line in the sand, her or me. If Claire stays, I walk. Matt doesn't even pause, not 1 second. Not even a fake CEO. Pause, he looks at Nova first. Nova, pack your stuff. Nova starts sobbing harder. But the culture, the sisterhood. Matt says, cold as accounting, culture does not pay invoices. HR will mail your check. She leaves like a ghost. Small steps head down. Nobody says goodbye. Marketing doesn't even look up. Because once the money gets shaky, community gets real quiet. I'm still standing there, furious, humiliated, running on fumes. Matt, I need a private conversation. He nods. My office? We go in. I sit down and cross my legs like I still own the room. What happened out there was toxic masculinity. Nate humiliated Nova. He humiliated me. And you allowed it. I'm filing a formal report. Matt just stares at me, and he looks different now. The cool founder mask is gone, no more. Podcast voice. He looks like a businessman who just watched 50 grand burn in real time. There won't be a report, he says. Oh, there absolutely will. And if you retaliate, I'm not retaliating, he says. I'm restructuring. Then he slides a paper across the desk. I look down, don't understand it at first. Then I do. We are eliminating people and culture. I blink. What? You can't. Who handles ERGs? Inclusion workshops? Conflict circles? Nobody, Matt says. We're a startup. We need code that works and sales that close. We tried your soft skills first model. It almost killed the company. I feel heat hit my face. So you're firing me because of her mistake? I'm firing you because you built the conditions for the mistake. He says, you prioritized ideology over reality. You called competence exclusion. You called safety gatekeeping. You were wrong. I was trying to build a better world. I shout tears. Hitting now. Hate that they're hitting now. Matt's voice gets quieter, almost gentle, which somehow makes it worse. It's a business? Claire, it's not a family. It's not a movement. It's a machine. And you threw a wrench in the gears because you thought the wrench looked good on a poster. You're a dinosaur, I spit back. You and Nate will be obsolete in 5 years. Matt shrugs. Maybe. But today the dinosaur restored the database. And the poet deleted it. He nods toward the door. Leave your badge. I pack up my office in silence. Fiddle leaf. Fig frame manifesto. Little ceramic mug with dried pens in it. I pick up the resistance documentation folder. Flip it once in my hand. Drop it in the recycling bin. Walk out carrying a box. Like every corporate movie ever made, have to pass the engineering corner on the way out. Blinds still mostly shut. Still dim. Still the same cave, but it doesn't feel oppressive anymore. Just focused. I hear low voices. Nate is explaining something to Jeremy, pointing at a screen. Jeremy is nodding and taking notes. No swagger, no cruelty. Just work. Calm work. problem solving. I stop for a second, want to say something, want to call them toxic, want to tell myself, I'm still right. But the words die in my throat because the wall monitor is back on transaction dashboard. All green bars, traffic moving payments, clearing the machine, running the world, working. They didn't need me, they really never needed me. I was just expensive noise. 4 hours later, I'm on my apartment floor drinking cheap wine out of a mug because I can't find a clean glass, doom scrolling, LinkedIn Nova, already posted. Of course she did. Heartbroken to leave today. Sometimes a space isn't ready for your light. Excited for my next chapter in ethical software. Couple hundred likes. Already comments full of their loss. So brave. Queen energy. I start typing my own post. Today I was reminded the tech industry still has a long way to go. I stop, stare at the cursor, delete the whole thing, close the tab, open a new one, search bar, SQL for beginners, tutorial, click the first video, some guy with a thick accent explaining tables and keys. It's boring. Dry objective doesn't care about my feelings. And for the first time in my life, I think that might actually be a good thing.